Hello friends, how are you doing today? My name is Mary and this is Happily Ever Esch, and today I am sharing with you my recent fiction reads wrap up. I have all of the nonfiction that I read in November in a separate video, which I will put in the cards above just in case you are interested in checking that out. But this is all the fiction I have either been listening to on audiobook or physically reading, mostly in the month of November, but I think a couple of these I finished in December. So let's just hop on in. The first book that I finished was A Rule Against Murder, which is the fourth in Louise Penny's Inspector Armand Gamache's Three Pines series. And this, as I have said in many a video, is one of my favorite series. I love the setting of Three Pines and I love the characters that Louise Penny has crafted. She writes very beautifully and descriptively of the nature in Canada and just the coziness in the town, and it's just, her writing is beyond beautiful. But she also delves a lot into kind of the human nature and really into the psyche of why someone would feel that they needed to be driven to the brink of murder. And she talks very kind of philosophically about human nature in that way. But she's never gruesome or like gory. That's not really more her style. You get that really cozy mystery feeling, just the way the murders happen, and then also just the way that the team kind of searches into them and investigates them. So this is the fourth in the series. It is set in the summer, but it is not set in Three Pines. Three Pines kind of makes an appearance a couple times, but that's not the main setting. The main setting is this lodge resort that has been turned into kind of this summer getaway in the woods. And it is a tradition for Armand Gamache and his wife Gwen Marie to go there for their anniversary. And so he is there with another kind of quirky family, and Louise Penny definitely crafts some quirky characters. And this family has gotten together, though they don't really get along. And a murder happens to take place while Armand Gamache is there, and luckily he's able to bring his team in and investigate the murder. We learn more about Armand Gamache and his relationship with his wife. We learn more kind of about Armand Gamache's background. And then, as always, there's just some really horrible characters that make you just want to absolutely wring their neck, and then some really lovely characters that kind of are faith restorers and humanity. Sometimes Louise Penny really takes her characters far off. Like, you think, can they really just be that horrible or that kind of stupid? But she always kind of then will bring them back around and give them some little redemption. And it's very cool because it's the way that people are perceiving these characters is kind of how she writes them. And so I enjoy that, but sometimes she does go a little too far where they're not necessarily believable, but I think that's kind of where the coziness in her mysteries come in, where it's on the brink of not being realistic, if that makes sense. But I must say, this hasn't been my favorite in the series. In the first three books, there was kind of this mystery arc that wrapped up, and I think that we'll continue to kind of see that trend in learning more about Armand Gamache's life and the police group in Canada as a whole. I think it's called the Coyote Day. I don't know. But I think we'll continue to kind of get some more of those arcs in the further stories, but this was kind of like an in-between book. It also, like I said before, didn't feature Three Pines super heavily, and that's why I read the books. So it was still a solid read for me. I enjoyed it. I just know there are other ones that I've enjoyed better. I have gone ahead and picked the fourth up in the series. I just checked it out from the library. It's set in the fall, so I want to read it before it gets too cold and snowy where I live, and then I can go on and read the next one, which will be set in winter, so that'll be nice for the cold months. But yeah, I'm a sucker for these books, and the whole time I was listening to this one on audio, I kind of was feeling well, maybe I don't like this one so much, maybe I've been reading them too close together, but then the ending, she always gets me with her endings, and she makes everything kind of wrap up in a really satisfying way. And it's not because everything is super resolved, but she just, I don't know, what she does with her characters and the ending of her stories, just they make you feel very satisfied, very satisfied. So I love those books, and I will continue to read them. Next, I revisited a favorite children's classic, and that is Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder. I recently picked this up at a used bookstore, and these are the editions that I read as a child, so I was really happy to find this old copy. It has a lovely inscription in the front, and I just love used books, but I absolutely love these stories. I forgot how much I love them until I reread this one. She makes you long for a time that you didn't know. Like, I clearly was not alive in the late 1800s, but she makes me want to visit and just be enveloped in her life. And these stories really give you a glimpse into that. I can't remember if they're all told like this, but each chapter is kind of like its own individual story, and it's showing you kind of a year in her life in the Little House in the Big Woods. So you get Christmas, spring, summer, you get all of the seasons for them and kind of just what life would look like, and then she gives you little stories that she's remembering from her childhood. I think the other ones, if I remember, have more of a story line than this one does. Not that this one doesn't, but I just feel like these are more kind of sweet little anecdotal stories, rather than kind of having a super strong plot line running through them, if that makes sense. But yeah, these just make me feel very nostalgic. If you like classic Americana and just wanting those feelings of history, I really think that this gives it to you so well. And I also was struck just by how important craft was to people and being good at your craft. So for example, they have to prepare for the winter and they really are stockpiling food, and so it was so important that Pa could kill animals for them to eat, and that they had the skills to smoke the meat so it would stay good through the winter, and that they could garden and just everything. They make everything, and that's just, we don't live in a society that we hardly make anything for ourselves. You know, most products and goods can be bought at the store. So just, I don't know, a huge appreciation for what these people could do, like with their craft, just to stay alive. It's really amazing. I don't know, and it made me want to like learn how to knit or like make things. I was like, I need to start whittling things, and which is silly, but I do think will make you appreciate the simplicity in a life where you kind of have to make everything for yourself and be self-sustaining. And I think there's a lot of movements towards being self-sustaining, and I don't know, it was just cool to read a book where people did. So yeah, I love these. I'm going to continue my read and hopefully finish this in the next couple years, my read of all the books. But yeah, it was sweet and fun, and I'm so glad I picked it up. Next book I listened to an audiobook was a reread, and there's 2 rereads right there, and I don't reread a lot, so we're on a roll for December, and that is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. I was wanting to read the second book, but knew I forgot a lot of the vital information in this, and so I decided to re-listen to this one on audiobook, and I'm so glad that I did. Getting to listen to it on audio kind of gave it a new experience, even though it was something that I had read before, so that was really cool, and something I think I'm going to do in the future. I think I want to reread The Wise Man's Fear. Is that the... Oh no. I want to reread The Name of the Wind before I read The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, and I think I'm going to see if I can get the audiobook for that, because I just loved getting to re-experience the book, but in a new way. It was just cool for me. So anyway, I love this book. It was one of my favorite books I read in 2016, and that did not change. It probably made it even more of one of my favorite books with my reread. I love how political this series is. I love how strong Kelsey is, but you also see her struggling with things I think women struggle with. I've seen a lot of criticism of this book that they didn't like that Kelsey struggled with her appearance and how others perceived her, but I felt like that was such a real struggle for her. Like, as a woman, I struggle with that, and I think other women do too, so I didn't find that to be something that turned me off to her. I found that to be something that made me think that she's really real. But just her compassion and her heart, I love that in her, and I just love how political this is. I love the magical elements to it, and I love the medieval feel. So yeah, this is just, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to read the second one. I plan on picking it up sometime this winter. So yeah, very excited about my reread of this, and hopefully we'll continue to reread more books in 2018. Next, I read another fantasy, which was The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I will insert some video clips of the cover. I had to take it back to the library, and I thought that this might be a cool way to be able to still share the cover when I need to take my books back to the library and haven't had time to sit down and film. N.K. Jemisin crafts such a cool world in this story. Just the cultures and the people groups she has created, and just the world she made was amazing. It was so intricate, and I really, really loved it. That being said, the storyline and the plot was not for me, I don't think. I loved the way that N.K. Jemisin told this story. And so let's back up. This is about a young girl whose mother was the daughter of a very powerful man in the 100,000 Kingdoms. And her mother ends up kind of running away from home, denying her father and marrying a man from Dar. And both of her parents have died, and the daughter, Yin, is summoned back to the kingdom. And there's just so many intricate things going on. There's a war with the gods. There is a lot of political things going on, and a lot of cultural things going on. And so, I don't know, I just felt like the book was trying to do a lot of things. And I think that it didn't really do any of the things that well because it was trying to do too many things. So I loved her writing. I love the world that she created. It was so unique, and I wanted to be in it. But she was going in so many different places that I didn't feel like I could really connect with the storyline, and I really hated the ending. I thought the ending was a really big cop-out. So yeah, I do think I will be reading more N.K. Jemisin. I just don't know if I'll be continuing on with this series. And yeah, the first half of the book, I was on board, and I don't think I liked where the plot went. And I also think this book was too cool for me, because maybe I just didn't get a lot of the implications that she was trying to do with all of the different storylines. So I don't know, people say they really enjoyed her commentary on religion. I don't think I got that from this book, because I don't think I understood what she was trying to say. So that could have just been me not understanding. But I liked Yin as a character. I thought that she was very strong and powerful, and just courageous, and I really liked her. I don't know. I don't know if I liked where the plot went. So I definitely think if the premise sounds intriguing to you, you should check it out. But yeah, I'm very torn on whether I'll be continuing on. It was like a pretty okay book for me. So, but yeah, I will be reading more N.K. Jemisin because I loved her writing and her world. Just so cool. And then last but not least, I have continued on with the Amulet series. It is a graphic novel, and the second one is called The Stonekeeper's Curse. And this is by Kazu Kibuishi. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Kazu Kibuishi. And this is such a fun graphic novel series. I'm so glad I finally found one that I really feel invested in. I loved where the story took off. I love the artwork in this, and the nature scenes and the cityscapes that this author draws, I think are so cool. And I really like where we're going with the story. We follow in the first book a young girl and her brother and her mom who have moved to their uncle's dilapidated house in the woods. And they stumble across kind of this magic realm, and they get sucked in, and the adventure kind of starts. And she's now trying to save her mother, and also save this world. She's wrestling with her powers that she's been getting, and she's met some friends along the way. So it's a lot of fun. I, like I said, love the artwork, and I'm excited to continue on with this series. So that is the fiction that I've been reading in November and December. I'd love to know what you've been reading, what you've been enjoying, and I'd love to know your thoughts on rereading. I'm definitely not a huge rereader, but have really been enjoying kind of rereading through audiobooks. And so yeah, I just love to know your opinions, your thoughts. Please chat with me down in the comments. I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I hope to talk to y'all very, very soon. Bye.